Hi guys, it's T. I am back with another video. This video is going to be all about faux locks because I get a lot of questions about mine, how I did them, oh my gosh, you did those yourself. They're really easy to do. They just take a long time to do. And I have like one or two in the front that I need to redo. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do it and what I use. So generally the first thing that I do, I like to do this on blow dried hair. So what I'll do is part my hair into 3 sections. The first part that I do is from the point or the start of right behind your ear, basically, across to the other ear. And so you have that one part going in half, and then I do one straight down the middle. I'm very particular about my parts. And I also, whenever I'm doing braids or like faux locks or anything like that, I do my parts the same way that the Africans do them. The way that they do their parts is kind of like bricklaying, so that you, when your hair is down or when the style is down, you can't see your parts. You just see the braids laying over top of each other. Now, I like the way that that looks better. I'm sure you've seen people out and about who have, you know, like the triangle parts or the block parts, where you can see their parts right straight through to their scalp no matter how they wear their hair. I don't like that. I won't go too much further in depth about that, but I just wanted to explain that just in case anybody had any questions. So I took this one piece out so that I could demonstrate for you all. And what I like to do for my locks is braid them underneath, so I'm not putting all that tension directly on my hair. And yeah. So I just take a little bit of like regular cheap braiding hair from the beauty supply store, and I can do another video about how like you add in hair. It took me a while to learn how to do this, but I don't know. So if you need help with that, give it a thumbs up or comment down below, and I can record another video, a short video, explaining how to do that. But yeah, so well, actually the first thing that I do is make sure that my hair is moisturized. So before I installed these, I did you know, wash, thoroughly deep condition, and then blow dry my hair, because it's just easier when your hair is already in a stretched state. And I add moisturizer, and I just like to use my trusty curl enhancer smoothie, and I just use a little bit. And since I've taken this out, I might as well take the opportunity to be able to add some moisture. I also like to use conditioning gel, shine and jam. It's the same stuff that Africans use when they braid your hair, and this one has extra hold. You just need a very, very tiny bit. I feel like this, especially in the temple area, it just lays everything down and makes sure you know, all your strands are smooth. Then I'm ready to install the braid. Okay, so to save time, even though the braiding component adds time, I don't actually braid the entire length of the hair. What I do is just braid enough down so that my hair is completely covered inside the braid, because I don't want any of my hair hanging out. Basically, I braided this down a little bit further because I was yapping, but yeah, so that's basically all I do here. So now it's time to start to create your faux loc. So you're just gonna take one strand of Marley hair, and I like this brand. This is Hair Lolly. Okay, so that's what that looks like, and I just got this from my regular local beauty supply store. Did I say booty? Beauty supply store. And they usually, I think that was probably about $5.99. Just as a reference, I typically buy between like 9 to 10 packs of hair. Probably like 10 or 11, just to be on the safe side, so I don't have to go back just in case I run out. But you take your one strand and you can puff it out a little bit, and that will just make things easier while you're wrapping. And this particular brand of hair is rather dense, so this you know, is not as difficult as it can be with some other brands that I have used before. They're not as thick and full So you have to use more hair basically. So what you're going to do is pinch off about 1.5 inches or so of the hair where it starts to really taper off like this. And you're basically just going to put this behind the braid like so. And just grab the top. And then you're just going to bring the excess hair around and wrap it. And then you're just going to repeat that down the length of the braid or your hair. Now remember, you don't have to braid your hair first. You can, you know, twist your own hair and then wrap it like that. You can do whatever you feel is necessary. So the important part, this is the second time I've done this. The major lesson I learned from the first time is that you have to make sure that you are overlapping the hair as you go around. And I'll explain a little bit later why that's important, but just take my word for it. So you might want to go around a couple of times and, you know, overlap over the last half of where you did. So as you move down. So I wrapped here and I'm just going to go over the bottom half of where I already wrapped. And then I'm starting a new layer underneath, if that makes sense. So you're just going to continue to wrap. And then the other important part to this is pushing up. You see how much space I just covered? So you want to make sure that it's tight. And I'm going to, like I said, explain why that's so important once we get done here. So you just want to go ahead and continue to wrap. And every so often, push it up. Push everything up tight. And then continue to overlap your wrapping. And the, you know, puffing out the strands it's not really important. You don't have to do it. But the reason why I said it helps is because when you're doing that overlapping, you kind of it doesn't get too bulky, and it just kind of makes it easier, and you can make one strand of Marley hair go a little bit further than it would if it wasn't, you know, as stretched out. And then I'm going to show you how to add in another strand of Marley hair once this runs out. Now you see that I'm getting towards the end of that strand of Marley hair that I used to start this lock, and then I still have this braiding hair that's left. Now you can continue to wrap it around if you want, just what I'm going to do. And then you're going to take a new piece of Marley hair, and you're just basically going to do the same thing that you did to start that particular lock. So, but here's the other thing. So the other thing that I like to do is once you have a couple of them in, just to make sure that you're getting like consistent lengths. They don't have to be the same length, just consistent. You can kind of measure up where one ends, so you know how long you need to make the next piece of Marley hair. So if I wanted to make it the same and I didn't want it to be like super long, so if I left like that 1 inch that we talked about initially and I wrapped the whole length of it, I mean, it would go on forever down to my waist. So since I don't need all that, I can either cut the piece so I can use half of it on another lock, or you can just start the lock so that that starter length of it is, you know, the length that you want it to end. And sometimes that helps because the braiding hair is not as thick, so you always want like basically a leg so that you can wrap around. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. But so basically you're just gonna do the same thing, and I'm faster at wrapping one way, so I was just trying to make sure I went the same way. So you want to wrap around a couple of times when you start, and then just continue to go downward. And don't forget to every so often push up to make sure that everything is tight and all the gaps are filled in. So once you get down to the end, like I did, and I still had some left over, but I don't want to add another piece just for this. So you pinch off with your thumb and index finger where it ends so that it doesn't unravel on you. And then you're going to fold the excess up and you're going to wrap upwards. So there I've pinched the bottom, or where the original lock ended, and then I fold the excess up and I just wrap back upwards. The other thing that I like to do to make sure that things don't unravel on you as you go up is take your lighter and lock everything in place. Okay, so you pinch everything really good and just take your lighter and just kind of torch the ends really good. And then you want to roll it in between your fingers so everything gets tight. So then it'll look like this. And then from there, I don't have to hold it as tight, and I can just continue wrapping that excess hair back up the length of the lock until that is done. And then I will use the lighter again on that portion to seal it all in place. So it's about there. And be careful with this so you don't burn yourself. And that's it. It's really, really simple. So the last thing that I like to do is I like to take my lighter and just kind of run it along the lock so that I seal more of the fibers in place. Just so that nothing gets unraveled. And I don't go too close to where my real hair might be, even though it's in the braid. Anything can happen. And I just like to clean it up. Same way they trim your braids, so it's not all like fuzzy and everything. I just burn that fuzz off. And that is it. It's very simple. The reason why I say that it's important for you to overlap everything is because, and I can take these down now that I'm done redoing that one, is because the locks, they stick together, as you can see. So if you don't wrap your locks properly, when they stick together, they will pull them apart. So here's a good example. I mean, these things take forever. And I feel like over time, they will pull apart anyway. But as you can see somewhere along, I didn't, like, you know, push it up enough or overlap them enough because the top of it is tight and still intact. But once it starts to loosen up somewhere, the more they, you know, they stick together, they will pull each other apart. And you don't want that. And then they start to unravel and it gets super annoying. So yeah, make sure that you wrap your locks really tightly and you do the overlapping and pushing it up, and you won't have any problems. And that is it. I feel like, I think I've had these in for probably about a month now, but the longer you keep them in is the more natural they look. I've had people stop me thinking that, like, this is my real hair, and I don't like to have them exactly the same length, and I'll stand up in a second so you can see. I just like them to be about the same length, but not exactly the same length, because I feel like that looks more natural. So yeah, that's it. Okay, that sole was not cool. Alright, so yeah, give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to share. Leave me a comment down below on if you have locks, whether you've done them yourself. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see regarding these faux locks. Okay, girl.